Shalom, welcome to Practical Spirituality at Asia Torah here in the Old City of Jerusalem overlooking the Temple Mount. Today's question is, why are people so extreme? Why are people so extreme? And the answer in general is extreme behavior comes from a couple things. One of them is insecurity, and another one is lack of knowledge. Insecurity, lack of knowledge. Let's go into both. If I can be more extreme about things, so it makes you more nervous around me. Meaning it's a dominance type thing. If I can be more extreme about things, like let's just say I'm one of these guys, let's say in the Jewish world, extreme might be that I wear my hat full time. Yeah, I can't ever take my hat off. And my coat, which you see I'm wearing neither my coat nor my hat. But imagine, like, I gotta wear my hat, I gotta wear my coat full time. Now, you are gonna be a little more nervous around me probably, and I'm gonna feel a little safer because I'm gonna be less approachable, which means I'm gonna be less vulnerable in my world. The more extreme you get, the less approachable you are. And that makes you somehow safer. But of course, are you safer? You're not safer at all, you're just more protected. Ultimately, but you're not safer because, see, the whole beauty of being someone who's safe is that you get to relax. But someone like that, are they more relaxed or are they more uptight? What's someone like that, more relaxed or uptight? Way more uptight. They're way more uptight. So safety is supposed to bring relaxation unless it's a false safety. If it's a false safety, so it's going to make someone more uptight. And so one of the reasons why people go more extremes is to create more of a safety mechanism for them. You'll notice also, people who are not very smart, no offense to these people obviously, because they are very smart about other things, they're just not very smart in Torah, will sometimes take a more extreme path of Torah. Because at least okay, I'm an idiot when it comes to Mishnah or Halacha, but I can't learn the Gemara, but boy am I frum. I'm really firm. So it gives them a sense of safety in that. But again, they're going to be totally unapproachable. They're going to be so nervous if they get approached because the possibility of exposure is very high there, especially in that scenario that I just painted. So that's one of the things was insecurity. The other reason why going more extreme is a popular thing to do is because, what did I say? There was insecurity and
lack of knowledge.
Oh yes, the lack of knowledge is if you don't know what you're doing, but you're scared of God, so then being more extreme about everything makes you less likely to get in trouble in life. Let me illustrate that with a kind of a funny story. My wife and I were like fresh Bali Tshuva in Israel, so we didn't know a lot at all. And we're visiting a Rosh Yeshiva's house for Shabbos. The whole Shabbos. We were staying there. And this Rosh Yeshiva runs a program just on Hilchos Shabbos. Like, he's a master of Hilchos Shabbos. Anyway, my wife and I saw him breaking Shabbos like about 3 or 4 times throughout Shabbos. And we were just shocked that he was breaking Shabbos. I mean, really shocked. So after Shabbos, we had this whole discussion. Do we tell him or do we not tell him? Like, what kind of chutzpah are these Baal Tshuvas, going to tell this guy, that he's breaking Shabbos? Especially a Rosh Yeshiva who runs an entire program on Hilchos Shabbos. So I decided that it's the only right thing to do, and if he's really such a big rabbi, then he can handle a little commentary. So I went up to him after Shabbos, and I said, I saw you do a couple things that I happen to have studied in Asia Torah. And I was still like wet paint, like fresh in age, that I happen to studied in Hilchos Shabbos that that are forbidden to do, and I happen to notice you do them, and I just wanted to bring it up. And so he immediately pulls out Shulchan Aruch, and he shows me there's one totally obscure rabbi compared to the majority rabbis. There's an obscure opinion. Did I call the rabbi obscure? Sorry. there's an obscure opinion that forbids this particular thing, but as you see, the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah both say that that's how you do it. Like, that is how you, and this guy's a master of Hilchos Shabbos. I mean, we're talking to someone who knows Hilchos Shabbos backwards and forwards. And I'm like, well, why'd they teach me that obscure opinion? And he said, because you don't know the halachic process yet. And so it's better to teach you strictness now until you get your feet wet and learning and stuff, until you can start to understand how to distinguish things. And then later you can start your freedom of movement, because now you know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing now. So people are giving you stricter opinions. And so what I'd like to share with all of you is just an amazing point that I got from that, besides the point of our class here, is an amazing point I got from that is that knowledge is freedom in halacha. Knowledge, you think of that story. Meaning my wife and I would have our hands tied behind our backs in that particular situation on Shabbos, where he was able to go ahead and do what needed to get done in that situation. So he was the one who was free, and our lack of halachic knowledge had our hands tied behind our back because we were holding by some stricter opinion, because we didn't know what we're doing, because of our ignorance. So the more halacha you know, the more free you get. And boy, did that become true when I studied kashrus, because my smicha is in kashrus. And all of a sudden now I know how to eat when I'm traveling. Because if I'm in the north, I don't always have our heksherim here of Yerushalayim. So I can just go in the kitchen, talk to Boaz or whoever it is, and they're, Edo or, Uzi in the kitchen, and talk out what's in there. And next thing you know, that restaurant just turned kosher. For my wife and I, it was not our heksher, but it became our heksher really quick. Because I know the distinctions of the foods inside his kitchen and how to do this and how to make sure my wife and I could enjoy our trip up north and go out to dinner in this particular restaurant. And so halachic knowledge was freedom, and the freedom to be more extreme or more moderate. Which one? More moderate. The more halacha you know, the more moderate you are. The more halacha you know, the more moderate you are. And the less halacha you know, the more extreme you are. In general, this is someone with Yiras Shamayim. Someone with Yiras Shamayim, the less knowledge, the more extreme. Someone who doesn't have Yiras Shamayim, no knowledge, no nothing. He doesn't do anything. We're talking about people with Yiras Shamayim. Now, the last thing, there was one more thing I want to mention about that, taking those extreme positions. Two more things. One is, don't feel bad about extreme people, because they give us all a middle ground. Extreme people are good. Even in politics, you got extreme left, extreme right. Gives us a nice area to be in for normal people. Extremely observant people who are doing all these chumras, where you have extremely lenient people doing all these kulas. Gives you an area to be in. Don't be upset about people like that. Gives us a place to live. And the last thing I want to share with you is that that the point of chumras are to get you closer to God. If you're keeping a chumrah that's not getting you close to God, where you can literally demonstrate how it gets you closer to God, that ain't your chumrah. And the opposite's also true, that if there's a chumrah that would get you closer to God, that is your chumrah. And this is important information. You got to chop this. If you're involved in chumras that aren't getting you closer to God, drop it. Just drop it like a hot potato. If you got to speak to a Rav first, do a Shayless Rav or something to drop it, because it's something more serious, you can't just drop it because it's already like a neder, because that's what you've been doing. Go speak to a Rav. Get a beis din together. Get 3 frum Jews to say muterlach, muterlach, muterlach. But don't be anywhere near chumras. We already know that someone who takes on not to drink wine and stuff like that, like a nazir, they have to bring a korban chatas to the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Why do they bring a sin offering? Then weren't they getting closer to God? And the answer is, God already made certain things forbidden and certain things permissible. And you went and forbade yourself on things that were permissible, which means you're not raising those sparks Kabbalistically, because we're here to raise the sparks in this world. And you miss that because of your stringencies. So stay away from chumras, unless that chumrah is going to directly, perfectly align you with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because the point of your life here is to fuse with God. And there are certain chumras that each one of us, there are things that I'm chumradik about, like really chumradik about, like you'd consider that extreme about me. But I could demonstrate for you exactly why that is exactly my mitzvah, is to go chumrah with that. And then there's other things you'd see as like, gee, he's kind of lenient about that. And I'd say to you, like, yeah, that's because that is the halacha. Like, that's the halacha. What do you want from me? Go open Shulchan Aruch. That's the halacha. Well, people aren't doing it like that. Because we live in a big Yetzer Hara Chumrah world today, where everyone's trying to be frumer than the Schwartzes. And, you know, but sorry, I keep Shulchan Aruch. I'm not playing games with the Schwartzes. And playing that game don't get me closer to God at all. And so I'm not going there, because I don't do chumras unless they bring me closer to God. The point of chumras is to get you even closer than you already are with God, to fuse your soul with your Creator. I notice a question here or a point.
Yeah, I was saying, how do you identify that? How do you identify exactly what the chumrah is and how it's going to affect you?
Well, both is that anything that's a chumrah that affects you negatively, you'll know it right away, because you'll just feel out of it. You'll feel this is taking you out of the zone. Whereas when there's a chumrah that you know is yours, is because if you do it, you'll feel particular sense of holiness in closeness to God. You'll feel holy there. And so as long as you're feeling that holiness, that's probably your chumrah. Yeah. We'll end it with that. Shalom, everybody. And please, everyone, join my club. You can also join my club, which is Yom Tov Media Club, YomTovMediaClub.com. Shalom, everybody. That's Rabbi. Don't forget that tomorrow's switch. Okay? Everyone. Shalom.